edition, Mr. Relevant. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Law Offices. One Call That's All Studio at the Avenue, downtown Milwaukee. Joshie DiMaggio is here as well. And Hunter Vaughn is always back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. I think Joshie did. Coming off of a really exciting Friday edition live from Door County Distillery, where we had a terrific time. Big thanks to our friends at Door County Distillery for hosting us as always. And then me and Josh got to bond even closer on our car ride home back to Milwaukee on Friday night.
That's negative.
What do you mean that's negative?
We spoke even less. You refused to stop and get food.
Okay, well, no, hold on. Don't slander me.
And then you hit traffic right when I had to use the restroom the worst. It was...
But hold on a minute.
The experience at Door County Distillery, fantastic. The experience with you in the car, F-.
Okay, hold on. Slow down a minute.
I'm not slowing down.
Oh, no, I need you to slow down for a minute because we gotta hash this out. Because I know you're upset with me.
As he should be.
That'd be a fair assessment? A fair assessment?
Accurate.
Okay. Now, typically if you need to go to the restroom, or you're hungry, or you need something on a car ride, what does one do?
They do what I did. And as soon as I sat down in the car, I said, we got to stop and get food. To which you said, yeah, let's get on the road first. Which obviously, let's get on the road. That's where we have to go to get the food. We even commented on the truck they had there at Door County that we could have gotten food at, and we decided, we'll go somewhere else. So it was brought up twice within 5 minutes of entering the car.
But then, it was not brought up again.
Well, you figure I have to say it 3 times for it to stick?
Well, I wanted to get out of Door County. Yeah, you need to remind me.
Yeah,
and then the whole thing about traffic and needing to use the restroom, that was never brought to my attention.
I mean, you figure if you say you have to go get something to eat, you would use the restroom at said time. Those two things would marry pretty well.
In theory.
Yeah.
But not unless verbalized.
You know what happened?
What happened?
Is your whole night spiraled when you got requested to go to the grocery store and then to print something at the office. So your mind went from like, oh yeah, we'll figure it out, to I can't believe I have to go to the grocery store after I get back from a 2.5 hour drive. Now I'm going to ruin everyone else's time.
All right. You might be onto something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the mood in the car drastically changed after that.
It did.
After the please go to the grocery store, here's the list. Yeah.
Honey-do list.
Uh-huh.
After 5+ hours in a car.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always the best. So that is what happened. I apologize. I appreciate
Not
you keeping
accepted.
I appreciate you keeping the slander to a minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine. I went and got it. Did frustrate me though, having to navigate Brewers traffic on my way home to then go get food for the household.
Did you also go to the grocery store?
No, I went to a local burger establishment.
Oh, okay, sure.
And picked up for the people of the house. But
the people of the house being you and Mussolini?
Yeah.
I almost want to say Medusa every time.
I know you do. You've been saying that for a long time. So I wasn't as delayed in getting home as you were, but I did have to make a detour, which I would have rather not have done.
That's fair. I did too.
I did get the opportunity to use the office's bathroom though, since I had to come through here to get out of the building.
I used the one at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Nice bathroom, shockingly.
Well, you'd hope so.
Yeah, you would. But anyway.
Cleanliness and grocery stores go hand in hand.
Yeah, I believe that. I don't believe... I'm Team Hunter on this one. I feel like cleanliness and grocery store bathrooms don't go hand in hand.
Oh, if you have a gross bathroom, that means what does it look like in back, in your freezers, in your cooling departments? How does your butchering area?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are bad ones, as there's any bad ones. Gas stations differ wildly. Like a Quick Trip bathroom,
always nice.
Always nice. And there's a few other places that prioritize their bathroom, and they even have the checklist. Like you can see, I think it's at Quick Trip where they tell you like this was cleaned last, and it's like usually like within the hour.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Okay, lots to get into today. Aside from Joshie's terrible experience riding in the car with me. Sorry, Josh. We've got plenty. I mean, we're going to cover everything. We've got the Bucks. We've got an NBA trade to break down. We've got a 2-2 NBA Finals, Game 5 tonight between the Thunder and the Pacers. We've got a little Packers to discuss over at ESPN.com. A kind of a roundtable of sorts, the beat reporters for all four teams in the NFC North answering different superlative-related questions about the NFC North in 2025 that I want to dive into a little bit. More fallout, believe it or not, even a week removed from the Jair Alexander release for the Green Bay Packers. We'll dive into that. We'll touch a little Brewers, Freddie Peralta, and of course we'll play a little What We Missed, What We Learned at the end of the show, which is presented by Door County Distillery. All right, let's get into the trade in the NBA, though, because this was mind-boggling. A little over 24 hours ago now, I was sitting in the chair I'm sitting in right now, hosting Sunday Karma with Kyle Wallace on ESPN Wisconsin yesterday, and we get the news that Desmond Bane has been traded from the Memphis Grizzlies to the Orlando Magic. And sure, the trade is what it is. Desmond Bane, clearly a solid up-and-coming player, a guy that is seen as a really solid three-point shooter and can add to a team. But let's keep in mind, let's know who Desmond Bane is. Desmond Bane is a zero-time All-Star. Desmond Bane isn't a number one guy, right? I mean, he was the third leading scorer this season for the Grizzlies behind Triple J and John Morant. And, he's a solid player. I'm not saying he's a bad player, right? He's a solid player. I believe Josh DiMaggio played me a clip. I don't remember who it was from before the show. Somebody called him like the 38th best player in the NBA, Joshy.
I believe it was the Bill Simmons said 35th to 43.
Very specific range for Desmond Bane, which I appreciate from Bill Simmons. But Desmond Bane by no means is a world beater, right? He is a solid player. I would even say he's a good player. But I remind you, zero-time All-Star. He was on an all-rookie team. That is his only accolade in the NBA. He was traded for 4 first-round picks, 2 players, and a pick swap. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4 first-round picks, a pick swap, and 2 players to land up in Orlando with the Magic. That is a monster haul for a guy that's going to be your third-best player. Right? I mean, at best, your third-best player. Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner. Right? These guys are solid. Those are the cornerstones of the Orlando Magic. And you trade 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane to be a nice third option. And naturally, I think that goes to the point of, okay, well, if Desmond Bane is getting 2 players, 4 first-round picks, and a pick swap, if the Bucks are to do what I've said all offseason they're not going to do, I don't think they're going to do, and that is trade Giannis Antetokounmpo, what does that land you for Giannis? And simply put, if Desmond Bane is truly somewhere between 35 and 43 in the NBA, Giannis is somewhere between 1 and 3. If we do some math, what does that tell you? Like 12 first-round picks, 4 players would be a reasonable ask for Giannis after the Desmond Bane trade?
No.
Go on.
It's just not how the NBA works.
Okay, but
it's not an escalating scale based on how you personally rank players or how they're ranked. Like, it's probably like 8 first-round picks,
which is still.
players.
But hold on a minute. You realize how absurd of a number.
You can only
is.
trade a certain amount, I believe, as well. You can only trade. Was it like 10 picks? Something. There is a limit to them. But the point here is, if a star asks out and everyone knows it, the team does their best to get the most they can.
Sure,
and that's it. If the deal isn't that great, you end up in a Dame Lillard situation. You have to wait for a latecomer, and you still probably don't get as much as the Portland Trail Blazers originally thought, because everybody in the NBA knew, well, yeah, I'm willing to give up something, but I don't have to give up everything. He wants to be here, and he's going to make it bad for you. So, like the Jaren Jackson trade, not Jaren Jackson, Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges. Huge
was it 5 first-round picks?
Yeah,
like that's he's a plus role player.
Yeah.
He's not defining an NBA season the way Giannis is, and I understand that. But I don't think it carries carry the one. No, Giannis is worth 47 first-round picks.
I mean, that's how I view it.
Yes, I think that's your, the fantasy and the GM brains that we all have, where we think, what could we work out here? But you also never know, Say a Cooper Flake becomes involved. What's he worth? Like 3-4 first-round picks himself?
Yeah.
Like that's so if you start adding assets to it, that's how a team gets there. There's certainly going to have to be a decent amount of picks.
I mean, it's going to have to be a monster.
What ends up happening, and it feels like it in the NBA specifically, the guy you think is going to go for a ton goes for less than you think, and the guy you think would go for like a medium price goes for also a ton.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what's the difference here? It's like there's a breaking point of logic in what a team's willing to sacrifice to move something.
But and I guess that's the point I want to get to on the Bucks, because after seeing this, and again, not all trades are created equal, as Joshua just pointed out. I agree with that. But if you were to make the decision to move on from Giannis this offseason, if the Bucks were to answer the phone and say, yeah, that's something we'd sign off on, I just have a hard time figuring out, and I have, and we've talked about this before, I have had a hard time figuring out what that price point is for a guy like Giannis.
I think the biggest struggle is I don't think there is a trade that anyone would be like, yeah, we got everything.
Right, that makes sense. Right. And
because,
yeah, we got better today. Because that's why you make trades, right? You want to get better. And maybe not today, but in the future.
Right.
Which is obviously what Memphis is doing, kind of following the Oklahoma City trajectory of acquiring a bunch of picks and hoping they pay off. And either you move some of those picks for a proven asset, or you take as many swings as you can in the draft and just hope eventually it pays off like it has with the Thunder. Obviously, a mixture of both for them now in the NBA Finals this year. But I'm really struggling to figure out what that price point exactly would be for Giannis, because he's Giannis, right? He's not Desmond Bane. He's not Mikal Bridges. He's one of the, if not the best player in the world. So,
I mean, he's like exponentially better than the 10th best NBA player,
correct,
whoever you deem that to be.
Yeah.
Like, there's two guys really in the NBA, and Shea's making his case, having just won the MVP. But there's two guys in the NBA that are tilt the court to their team's advantage the way Jokic and Giannis do.
Correct.
Like, you can make case, there's many, many good players, but it's hard to really think of the guys that are truly, they move, the NBA moves as they move. And when they're up, they're one of the hardest teams to beat. And when they're down, people are thinking, oh, maybe we have a chance here. Maybe an Indiana Pacers and a Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, it's not really fair to include them. They had a historically good regular season. But that's where those teams sort of seize the opportunity to win titles. I also think, I personally believe, this is with no information, no insight, anything, I believe Giannis mentally is closer to asking for a trade than maybe we want to address, but I think he also recognizes what would happen to the team I get traded to. What, like, how different are the 2026 Milwaukee Bucks than the team I get traded to, because all the assets that will need to go in return for me.
Yeah, and
I think that's a heavy factor, and I think that's ultimately going to tip the scales in the Bucks' favor. Of he's going to look around and go, yeah, if they trade their two best players and picks, how the hell are we going to be able to build past where we are with the Bucks?
And I think that's the one, and I think for the most part they do, but that's especially one part where I think the Bucks do have the leverage. It's, okay, sure, we'll trade you, but we're going to gut any team you go to, right? Whether that's Houston or San Antonio or New York or Brooklyn or whoever, right? You are going to gut that team of every asset they have, whether that's a young up-and-coming player, whether that's draft picks, whether that's likely both in this scenario. I don't see how NBA teams, and again, I am not a general manager, not that we needed a clarification on that, but I am not a general manager in the NBA, nor will I ever be if I was a betting man. But how can a general manager look at what happened yesterday and say, oh my goodness, 4 first-round picks, 2 players, and a pick swap just to land Desmond Bane? Like, what am I going to need to offer for Giannis? And again, I get it's not the sliding scale that you alluded to earlier, and not all trades are created equally. But I guess if you are a general manager who would like to pursue the Giannis sweepstakes this offseason, how do you view what happened yesterday and go, yeah, seems reasonable, can make it happen?
You start praying at the altar of Nico Harrison and hope you get him for less than he's valued at.
But we can agree that's not going to happen.
You'd hope not, but that's the best case you have to. And I mean, trade negotiations are trade negotiations.
So if you're a GM, you say, "Oh my God, I hope this guy's like Nico."
Yeah, I hope this guy makes a mistake or gets forced into a bad decision by ownership.
Yeah, but
pressure from the player. Like, yeah, we all know Giannis is going to command a haul, but I'm sure they're mapping out in their head like this should be an offer that you would consider, and we can maybe talk it down.
The domino that would especially be necessary here is Giannis would need to request a trade.
Yes.
And as far as we are aware, on June 16th, he has not done that.
No.
He has not outright requested one.
I believe if he did, the Bucks, if he said it just to them, they'd laugh at him.
Yeah, do it publicly.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
Do it publicly.
Right. We're not going to take the fall for you requesting a trade silently.
Yeah, no.
Go out there and make a mess of it and do it, and then we'll trade
Go
you.
talk to Shams, your boy.
Right.
Go talk to Pat McAfee.
Right.
Instagram story. As he's making Father's Day jokes on his Instagram story about having a fifth child. But.
Which I also think is more the reason more in favor of him not being traded. I don't think he would want to sacrifice his public image in Milwaukee. Because I wouldn't hold it against Giannis for requesting a trade and believing earnestly he has a better chance to win elsewhere.
Agree.
Because of the situation the Bucks are in. But there would be a significant amount of people who, if they saw the social media post or him go on whatever show and announce his desire to be traded, you instantly lose a non-insignificant amount of your fan base and goodwill you've built up in Milwaukee.
Yeah, if he's to go on his brother show, Analysis, available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, if he's to go on there and say, "Yeah, I requested a trade last week,"
Yeah.
well, then all of a sudden, conversation's a little bit different.
Yes.
But as it stands right now, Giannis is still an untradeable asset in my mind, especially when you look at the haul that a zero-time All-Star received yesterday in Desmond Bane. That just furthers the thought in my mind of, nobody's going to be able to muster up what you need to get Giannis. And look, and I think we've known this all along, but it's as simple as this at this point now, as we continue to get deeper into the offseason and closer to the NBA draft and closer to free agency next month. None of these wheels are going to be turning unless Giannis outright asks for a trade, which I just don't think is in his DNA, to your point. Right? He's not one to mess with his public image. And we've always used this as an example of why he would stay, but he's loyal to a fault, and obviously, maybe not to a fault, but he's loyal more so than any other star athlete in the planet.
What weighs more to him, though? Like greatness and winning or being loyal? Because I think you could make a case if he truly convinces himself, talks to player X at Y team, then he could, I believe, the level of competitor he is, could justify losing the loyalty or putting that aside in the pursuit of greatness and all-time excellence.
Will, did you follow that? Talks to player X at Y team. You understood that?
Roughly.
Okay, that works.
Attaboy.
Will's back, by the way. Will Summers is here joining us now. I think you're spot on. Despite our disagreement on this topic the last few months, it seems like we have reached a place where we're on the same page.
Yeah, I've always believed it. You've just done it in the most Homer way.
Oh, that's what I do.
I had people comment to me about Friday and how unbelievable they thought your diatribe on Giannis was.
I don't even remember what I said at this point.
You said that
You
there
just
was no
blacked out.
divaness in him at all, and that he was basically like, I mean, when you're paid as much as Giannis is, you have the endorsement deals, and you
can have an ego. I don't disagree with that.
The reason Adrian Griffin was the coach was because Giannis demanded it.
Right.
That's diva behavior. If somebody says,
are we sure the word demand is the correct word here? Or is that what he wanted?
When you tell your general manager, I want this guy, what does that mean in today's NBA?
I mean, I'm going to listen to Giannis.
No. It means you're taking Giannis's advice. Do you think LeBron?
Which you should.
You think LeBron has gone to former ownerships and just been like, it'd be nice if you guys could do this? That's exactly probably how he phrased it. Or I would like this. You know what that means to them? This is what you're doing. That's just the reality of the NBA. Even if you say it nicely, everyone in the room understands. You don't need to explicitly say, do this or else.
It makes me happy that people mentioned my diatribe to you.
Well, it wasn't positive.
I understand that. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be spot on with this. I'm going to be on the right side of history here.
I think this isn't a right side of history debate.
Sure it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hunter, back me up. I'm on the right side of history.
Maybe with an asterisk. Like, he doesn't get traded because no one has the assets for him. It's not because he doesn't want to leave or go and win another title.
But he's an untradeable asset.
There is no such thing.
Yes, there is.
No.
In professional sports, there is such thing as an untradeable asset.
There's not.
Giannis happens to be one of them.
Can't believe
Until he asks out,
that,
and then suddenly he's got a hamstring issue against Detroit, and oh man, now my knee is acting up against Cleveland. Oh man, my wrist is really tough. Can't play the Clippers tonight. Like, that's what would happen.
I can't believe your theory on Giannis being an untradeable asset fits perfectly into your hope and desires for him to be here forever. That is just remarkable.
Sometimes life works in mysterious ways, Joshy.
It's crazy how those two things coincide so perfectly.
Convenience is a luxury. Tell you what, convenience is a luxury. And that happens to be the convenient opinion for me. Just happen to work it like that.
Yeah, just keeps happening.
Hey, if Giannis was a member of the Sacramento Kings, I'd have the same take.
No, you wouldn't. That's a flat lie. You just lied. Apologize to all the loyal
I didn't lie.
Mr. Irrelevant listeners.
That's the truth.
I'd like
The Irrelevant Army?
to apologize to Will and Hunter.
Why would I apologize to Will and Hunter?
Because you lied.
I didn't lie.
You bold-faced.
Yeah.
Did he lie? Yes or no, Will?
Yes.
Yeah, and I feel disrespected that he just lied to my face.
Yeah, like, I might have to stop the show, Strouf. I don't know if I can work with you anymore. If you're going to lie like
I didn't
this.
lie. I didn't lie.
I'm going to count down here.
What was the lie?
I'm holding back tears.
I'm going to count down here, and once I get to 1,
Tell me what the lie
and
was.
I'm sorry is all we need. 3,
Tell me what the lie was.
2,
Tell me what the
1.
lie was.
Guys, how are we going to continue?
I mean,
He at least has to say sorry to the army.
yeah.
That if Giannis was on, the lie was that if Giannis was on the Spurs, you would say he was an untradeable asset.
Yeah, I stand by that. I think Victor Wembanyama is an
lied.
untradeable asset.
Lied.
Did you think Luka was an untradeable asset?
Yes, before I realized how much of a buffoon your general manager was.
Yeah. Yes,
And
but,
we know John Horst isn't a buffoon.
Yes,
We know
but
that for a fact.
Just those convenient qualifiers that just happen to make it work for Strouf.
yeah,
What did I just say? Convenience is a luxury.
this is going to go down in infamy.
What will?
6/16/25, the lie episode.
We're going to have to change the
The one
title
where
now.
Strouf lies.
The one where Stroop lies. Yeah, you're right about that. All right, well, as we always do, we'll keep an eye on Giannis. Keep an eye on all things Giannis. He's not a king. He's not a Spur. He's a Buck, and he will remain a Buck. Untradeable asset. Right, Joshy?
I'm moving on.
Me too. Over at ESPN.com, ESPN NFL Nation reporters in the NFC North answering various superlatives about the NFC North in 2025, including which quarterback has the most to prove in 2025. Now, this is fun because there is 4 teams in the NFC North. There is 4 NFL Nation reporters writing in this article, and there's 4 of us. So before we dive into the article and the answers, I want just real quick, what is everybody's answer? I will start with you, Joshy. The quarterback in the NFC North with the most to prove in 2025 is?
I've been wrestling with this question all day. I'm between the 2 I'm at right now are J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams.
Okay.
I'll give you my points after we go to the room.
Okay. Are you going to pick one or are you picking both?
I'll once we talk it through, I'll pick one.
Okay. Will, quarterback with the most to prove in 2025 in the NFC North is who?
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams from the Bears fan. Will, we go to Hunter now. Hunter, the quarterback in 2025 with the most to prove in the NFC North is who?
Jared Goff.
Okay. Interesting. I was going to go the J.J. McCarthy route because I think there's just so much unknown.
Yeah, so the reason I'm having a hard time is I think J.J. McCarthy gets 2-3 years regardless.
Sure, I agree with you.
And his clock, even though he was drafted the same year as Caleb Williams.
He's a rookie.
Right, starts later. He hasn't even taken a snap in regular, like a preseason snap. Like he hasn't done anything for the Vikings. Now he does have the added factor of, well, Sam Darnold was able to have the best year of his entire life with Kevin O'Connell. You have all the weapons and you have a team that seems to be ready to compete for championships. Like that's a good roster. The skill players are good enough. But the fact of the matter is not many quarterbacks, and that's why Jane Daniels was such a revelation, come in and instantly turn their teams into competitors. The thing with Caleb Williams is first overall pick. If J.J. McCarthy goes out and looks good, Jane Daniels looks good, Drake May looks good, and he's at that level with the investment they made in the offensive line, the continued investment in skill players, and Ben Johnson as your head coach, you start to ask some serious questions. Like, does this guy have it from the NFL level? I think it's Caleb. And I don't want to just that to come off as me being a Caleb hater. I do think that all three other quarterbacks have a longer leash before you start asking like very serious, does he deserve to be here questions?
The thing I find fascinating about this exercise, two things really, given our answers, is I would put Jared Goff last and Hunter put him first.
I think Goff should probably be second if I were.
Really?
I think he has to prove he's not a Ben
Didn't you just say you were between two guys and he was not one of them?
Yes, but I talked myself out of it when I realized all the mitigating factors that would be in JJ's benefit.
JJ might be deeper down the list.
Because no one's ever going to completely... I guess there's probably been here or there. There's been a quarterback written off of 1 year starting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Bryce Young was damn close to that. But, like, yeah, you got to prove that... Jared Goff's been good for one period of his life, and that period of that life was Ben Johnson related.
That's correct.
And he was the hottest commodity. He forewent jobs 1 year to stick in Detroit, and then was the leading candidate again. 2 years in a row, everyone was like, we want this guy, and he basically got his pick of the litter.
So you view the Jared Goff one as prove it with the offensive coordinator.
Right. Prove, and like, I mean, let's be honest here. Jared Goff has let down his team in the biggest moments.
Yeah.
Goff turning into Goff is a thing that people say, and they're like, well, he plays pretty well. He gets the ball out quick. He completed all these passes in a row. And then push comes to shove, and Jared Goff does Jared Goff things. Everyone goes, well, that's why you're Jared Goff.
I hear you on that. Hold on. I want to continue to whip around, but I just want to acknowledge all the YouTube comments starting to roll in on this topic. Chef Ed, Jalen, Seth, I see you. We'll get to your comments in just a moment. So I want to go back to Hunter real quick, because the Jared Goff thing, I just want to confirm with him, is that's related to the coordinator?
Yeah, absolutely. And two, like Tausch was even talking about it this morning on Wildy and Tausch, like that team's getting to a point where they aren't necessarily old, but they're starting to show it. And if you're going to be a Super Bowl contending quarterback, you've got to be the guy to carry this team. He has to prove that he is the guy that can carry the team. And if he can't this year, I think the Lions need to start looking elsewhere.
Yeah, this will be year 10, if I'm not mistaken, for Jared Goff. Drafted first overall in 2016 NFL draft. This will be year 10 for him in Detroit. Well, year 10 in the league.
I mean, Jared Goff cost his team a Super Bowl.
Yes, he did.
Because he only knew how to read defenses and knew where to go with the ball because the coach would tell him when he got pre-snap looks. Now, I think he's probably evolved past that a bit and has gotten better.
We would hope so, yeah.
But there is a level of he's only shown a degree of hand-holding that would make it, it makes it a question.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fun part about this conversation is I don't know that there's a wrong answer. Because when you look at the NFC North, it is well known in the league that it is going to be the best division in football again. Or at least we predict it will be the best division in football again. 3 playoff teams last year. The Bears are up and coming. The hottest head coaching candidate, as Joshy mentioned, last year's number 1 overall pick in Caleb Williams. I'm just surprised none of us said Love, to be honest with you, because I think we could all make the argument he's probably second or third at worst.
I don't mean to poo-poo this exercise because I do think this is fun, but other than Patrick Mahomes and I think now Jalen Hurts, the other 30 starting quarterbacks in the NFL have a lot to prove. Like, there's nobody else where you're like, it's not like when we had Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers all in the league, and you're like, okay, we know who these guys are. Yeah.
Right, but I think we're asking a different question here. We're asking if Jordan Love can elevate his play to a type of play that would put him in a conversation with the guys we didn't even mention, and like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, who have something to prove.
Yeah.
But they have to prove, can they do it at the ultimate highest level
Right.
against the best competition?
Right.
Where I think Jordan Love has to prove he can elevate his level of play and play more consistently.
He can get to the level of those guys, right?
Lamar has multiple MVPs, and he has to prove he can win a damn Super Bowl.
Correct. He's got to prove
Right.
he can win the big game.
Right.
Josh Allen, same thing, right?
Right.
I mean, he is an unbelievable quarterback.
I mean, and let's be honest, he's played the competition the best in the AFC. He's the one that you think actually has a chance. Lamar has come out multiple times and played played to a degree where you're like, this guy seems over his head.
Yeah, what happened to him?
Right.
Where did regular season Lamar go? Where Josh Allen has been within striking distance very many times.
Took one of the most improbable games I've ever seen in person. Like, it was that. I mean, that game is like an all-time great game because of the way they were. Like, he responded. Mm-hmm. He won that game, and then next thing you know, he did it, and he had nothing to do with it.
Insanity. Okay, so Seth on YouTube, I think, makes some really good points here. His pick is Jordan Love, but here's why. Williams has a new coach, so he can get a pass. J.J. McCarthy is an essential rookie, so he's completely allowed to fail. Jared Goff is good, but nobody expects anything more than good out of Jared Goff. And Love is good, but people are expecting him to elevate to a top 5 talent or elite territory. So the pressure is there to prove he can or is that. And I think that's an interesting point by Seth on Jordan Love, because the pressure on Love, I mean, the fun part about this conversation, as we just alluded to, is the pressure looks different for all of these guys. Right? The pressure looks different for Jared Goff than it does Jordan Love, than it does Caleb Williams, than it does J.J. McCarthy. It just does. That's how it plays out here. I think the Caleb Williams play, to Will's point and to your point, Joshy, is fascinating. Because, Josh, you gave me such a hard time last summer calling me a closeted Bears fan.
Yep.
Because I consistently said, and I stand by this, that Caleb Williams entered the safest position for a number 1 overall quarterback maybe ever.
I think we underrated the value of coaching in that.
I would agree.
In that recipe, when we put it all together.
I agree. But I more meant it in terms of tools. And I think you would agree with me on that, right? They put the receivers around him. They put the backs around him. They added a tight end in the draft now this year. And now you add the extra layer of, oh, yeah, by the way, he's got the hottest coaching candidate in a long time, one of the best offensive minds in the NFL, now leading the charge in Chicago.
I can make the case that if Ben Johnson can make Jared Goff look like that,
he better be able to make Caleb Williams look like that.
Right. Like, I should at least see Jared Goff level play from Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that
would be sort of the minimum.
Well, despite, and as unfair as this is, despite it only being year 2 for Caleb Williams, there's not a lot of excuses anymore, right? They upgrade the offensive line via trades and free agency. Like I mentioned, they drafted tight end with the 10th overall pick this year. It was a 10th, 9th, regardless, whatever pick they had. High pick for Colston Loveland. They have all the receivers that they had last year. Roma Dunze another year.
Allen.
Yeah, well,
Who?
whatever. They still have DJ Moore and Roma Dunze, right? I mean, like, they're still in pretty good shape in terms of the skill position players. So Caleb is in a spot where, if it doesn't start to come together for him this year, all of a sudden you're going, uh-oh, right? They may have a serious problem in Chicago. Yeah. For Love, if he's just average again, you go, well, they way overpaid him, and that's going to screw them going forward.
Yeah, but they overpaid them in the Packers way, where it's not going to, as with every Packers contract, short of you being physically unable to perform on a football field, it's not going to look that bad when they get out of it in less time than you expected. I do think Jordan Love is under pressure, and I think the position itself lends itself to that. But we've seen him be, I mean, for a stretch, the best quarterback in the NFL.
We sure have.
You can't say that about any. Maybe you could try and make the case for Jared Goff having like a regular season stretch where,
yeah, but not that good.
Like the lack of incompletions thing was a big thing for him.
Yeah. He had that stretch when they put up 50 against Kansas City on Monday night too, when he was with LA.
Yeah, it felt like he was doing something. He was doing something special there. But Jordan Love, at his very worst, is going to be. Why does that microphone keep turning on and off right there?
I think I have the power to do that from this little board to my left here. How fun is that?
Why are we derailing things just because a red light is flashing in front of you, Josh?
Does it work? Can you hear that? I don't know how this works. Okay.
I mean, I can hear
because
your
that
mic
microphone
clicking. Can we get back to Jared Goff, please?
That mic shouldn't be clicking on and off unless somebody was doing something stupid. The point I was making is Jordan Love is at least good enough to be a starter. We know that about him.
Yep.
We still think he's young-ish in his progression to being a full-time, maybe a franchise guy. Is he or is he not? I think you paid him all this money thing is a poor excuse, because if you want a starting quarterback that isn't on a rookie contract, that's just the price of doing business. And at odd times, there's anomalies that end up going for under that, like Baker Mayfield for one comes to mind. But he also was another team away from being a journeyman. Because remember when he played on 48 hours of prep time for the Los Angeles Rams?
Yeah.
Which that was the time he was started with the Panthers that season.
Yeah, he was all over the place that year, yeah.
So aside from those cases where there's a revelation, or a Sam Darnold who then ended up now.
Yeah, there seemingly is about one every year. Geno Smith a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Right. And these guys pop up and they end up actually carving out a career for themselves. Like Jordan Love, if he's not a Packer in 2-3 years, he's going to be somebody's starting quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like that's what we know about him, and I think he still has to elevate himself above that for them to truly get where they want.
All right, so the official Mr. Irrelevant rankings of the quarterbacks under the most pressure in the NFC North. I believe we have landed on number 1.
Caleb Williams.
I think so.
Did you forget?
No,
He did.
I was trying to figure out whether or not we're putting Jared Goff there, because I think Jared Goff goes 2.
I want to put 1 Williams, Jared Goff and Jordan 2 A and B, and then 3.
Well, 4.
Yes, correct. Yeah, because
McCarthy.
they've got to tie it too.
We can do ties though.
Sure, we can.
No, no
Who made
ties.
the rules?
Ties like kissing your sister. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah,
You
we
might.
can't have that.
I don't have a sister, so I don't.
I don't think the actual sister is the important part there.
Hell.
It's just meant to be sibling. Could be your brother.
Oh, okay. So a tie would be like kissing my brother.
Yep.
Happy Father's Day to him, I guess. Good stuff. Okay, so 1 Williams, 2 Goff, 3 Love, 4 McCarthy.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
I think Goff and Love are a little interchangeable, but
Yeah.
I tend to agree.
I think it's personal. You can just flip-flop them.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's get to the Jair fallout, because I just love social media, dude. It's the best.
Hell yeah, dude.
The social media is the best. And I don't know what it is, and maybe this is happening across every team, but I just have the pulse of the Packers, really. But it seems like family members of Packers are coming out in droves on Twitter recently.
I do want to say this is not a Packers specific thing. There are a few siblings in the NBA and NFL who weigh. Al Horford's sister likes to weigh in a lot. I know
Oh, really?
that. I've seen her tweets. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton's dad taunted to his face Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it's happening. I think it's more a testament to the times. Where
sure.
Those people aren't as in the background as they used to be, and are trying to get endorsement deals or be in commercials, things along that line. So they're just speaking more.
Will just left. Is he going to tour your old apartment?
Yes.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
We should have him zoom in.
Don't know if that's the best idea for content. Here's an empty house.
Yeah, but you could tell us all the stories of the parties you threw there.
That would have to be Mr. Relevant After Dark.
Okay, fair enough.
got crazy.
I mean, Joshy knew how to throw down back in the day.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard,
Those days are gone,
for the most part.
but those days happened. Yeah, they spring up every so often.
Yeah.
Grateful Dead, Fish Come to Town, Goose. You turn back time.
So Jair Alexander, his father Landis Alexander, his name's Earl, but he goes by Landis. Earl L. Alexander on Twitter. Just started replying to people over the weekend about Jair leaving Green Bay and being released by the Packers early last week. And Peter Schrager went on the Pat McAfee show and essentially said something to the effect of Jair wasn't willing to take a pay cut. Right? I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially the quote that was pulled from Peter Schrager on the Pat McAfee show. Landis Alexander then replies to that, says, "That's a flat out lie. And then another guy said, hey, what happened? And Landis goes ahead and responds, can't play on a contract without any guarantees. They need to stop the cap. Very willing to restructure. We understand business, and it would have been foolish to have zero guaranteed money. A couple other tweets essentially saying that, Jair was willing to restructure. The Packers weren't willing to get to his level, though, yada, yada. Right? Kind of how we expected it to play out. Seemingly from Jair's dad is how it indeed played out.
He seemed to imply they offered him no guaranteed money.
He did in that tweet, yeah.
Which you can't actually do because he's a vested veteran, I believe. So there is a veteran minimum, which if we're to sort of extrapolate and try and piece together what he meant is they offered him league minimum salary because you have to per the CBA, and then every dollar else after that was earned via playing time, and I'm sure there was some like make a Pro Bowl or have X amount of interceptions, or even an escalator. If you play 5 games in a row, we tack on an extra $250,000, not $250, sorry. Like, I'm sure it was based in that way, but the implication is they wanted him for next to nothing, and he had to earn every dollar via being on the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that's what it seems like to me as well. And
I think the thing to take away here is the Packers just weren't interested at all, really, to any degree, because no veteran, especially with the established past that he has, is going to take that few guaranteed money, because at that point, you're being reckless with your own like health and earning potential.
Well, the thing I kind of take away from this is we kind of had it right all along, and then it threw us off when it was reported they offered him a restructure, and we thought, okay, maybe they're actually more interested than any of us initially thought, especially after the draft when they didn't really take a corner in the first couple, or really first any rounds.
It's interesting you say we there. It seems like you're trying to lump yourself in with maybe a take you didn't have, and then
I definitely thought they were more interested in.
You're trying to draft off me being right.
Yep.
You're trying to be right by proxy.
Correct. That's exactly what I'm saying. You read right through that one. God, you're good. You're sharp. You're as sharp as a tack, man. I'll tell you what.
Because I believe when we heard that, I was still skeptical.
You are.
Yeah. I remember hearing that and being like, that sounds like a player kind of trying to turn public favor and trying to make the eventual, what I'm sure, now if we do the 2020 look in the past, that was definitely a play by Jair's agent to try and make it as difficult on the Packers to eventually release him.
I think
which they believed was going to be probably the result at the time that news came out.
Mm-hmm. And which
is well within their right, to be fair.
But the reporting made it seem like, okay, maybe the Packers really are more open to bringing him back than we expect.
Nothing was inaccurate.
No. They did offer him a restructured contract. It just was likely a slap in the face.
Right.
A kick it where the sun doesn't shine,
Aaron
right?
Jones offer.
Exactly. And that was the name I was about to bring up, is the way they go about their business is they often lowball.
Yeah.
Right? Now, sometimes it works. Most times it seems like it doesn't, especially with guys that are like star caliber, like Jair was and Aaron Jones was during his time, especially at the end of his run in Green Bay.
You can get an A.J. Dillon on that special exception contract.
That one was crazy.
But a guy who has, now it's been a while for Jair, but played at the heights, much like Aaron Jones played at the heights of the position, those guys don't take that money because there's going to always be another team who's going to decide, well, screw it. It's not going to cost that much. We have the space. Let's just do it. And if it works, it works. Yeah. The Packers were not in an if it works, it works situation with Jair. Because I think if they really wanted him, seeing they have $35 million in cap space, they could have very well gotten that deal done at a deal that was both fair and not prohibitive via the cap.
Yeah. Yeah. So, fallout, social media is the best. I love the idea of players' family members trying to take the narrative back on their behalf.
I like that they do it because it gives me something to talk about and gives me a little drama. Everybody loves a little drama.
Everybody loves a little drama.
I would despise, even if my parents were defending me.
Oh, I'd hate it.
Like, imagine
I'd be so embarrassed.
You're right. Imagine your mom and dad going and defending you on Twitter to the people who are mean to you. About like an opinion you have.
Oh, it'd be crazy.
I would protest Elon and X to have their account removed. Oh, I don't need you. I don't need you defending me from this bot person or this nameless person.
So you're telling me your mother did not defend you after you said Travis Hunter dropped the ball? Okay,
she did not, and I think she knows I would be very disappointed in her. She can get mad about it. That's fine. Yeah. That doesn't bother me. But don't go out there in public and give the people the attention they're looking for.
After we posted the video of me getting upset about the way that Badger fans look back at Wisconsin football, there's been some mean comments put on that one, which whatever, but because it's on Facebook, I'm very worried my mother is going to see those comments, and she is the type of person to try and do that, and I pray every day that I don't see a notification saying that she commented on something.
So I don't have an Instagram, but knowing that those two are connected, are you able to, on Facebook, hide posts from specific people? Because that might be a heady play for you in the future. Ooh. If you say something controversial that are going to get people mad, just do the, I know this because I've heard friends say, well, I hid this post from X, Y, and Z because I didn't want to hear about it.
I don't think we need to go that far.
Also,
that seems like way too many steps.
And that's not something I want to be out in the office saying in front of everybody. Like, hey, I need you to hide this from my mom.
Yeah, please hide that from my mother.
Just do it.
It sounds like you're at like an underage drinking party and
you have access to it. Go through.
You're holding a red Solo cup and you don't want mom to see the picture.
I don't need anybody seeing that.
That's what it sounds like.
That's really weak.
Hunter's
I'm worried about it. Man. Yeah. Like
you can alleviate your worries.
No, like
I'll just like I'm asking you to climb Mount Everest. It's a couple clicks of buttons.
Yeah, but we don't need to be hiding his work from his mother.
This is the opposite of climbing Mount Everest. You're asking me to do one of the softest, weakest things I could ever do.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just for your mom's peace. Your mom's peace of mind.
She'll be fine. I'm just saying, like, if that were to happen, I'd be really embarrassed.
I bet you would then hide them in the future if it did happen.
Great point by you.
No, I would just end anytime I get mad and start ranting about something, I just end it with, Mom, don't comment.
Be a good addition to the show, actually. Hunter goes on a
rip roar
and ends it with, sorry, Mom. My bad, Mom.
Don't look at the comments, please. Which is good advice, I think, to anybody.
All right, real quick, want to get to the Brewers before we get to what we missed, what we learned. No Will today, so we will not have Will's vocabulary lessons, unfortunately. But you really haven't been in your bag today. I haven't heard you say anything I didn't understand yet.
I wouldn't know because I oftentimes don't realize when I'm doing it.
That's such a humble brag.
There are times where I give you the look and I know I'm going to do something, but that's few and far between.
I don't know that it's few and far between.
Maybe sometimes after I say it and I see your face, I give a reaction.
That could be fair,
because you do have a specific
dumbfounded look. Yeah, yeah, I do.
And then you do what you just did there, where you think about it in your head. You do the eyes up. I get via context what he means, I think.
Yeah, that's usually how I get there. Yeah. Okay, so a couple Brewers things. Number one, nice win yesterday. Trevor McGill gets out of a little bit of a jam in the top of the ninth inning at AmFam Field. The Brewers went 3 of 4 over the Cardinals, extending their lead in front of the third-place Cardinals, and still inching a little bit closer, or at least attempting to the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. The Brewers now 5.5 games back, same as it was on Friday. But Cubs are good. Cubs are a really good team. 44-28. Brewers 5 games above 500 now, 39-34. They are game and a half ahead of both the Cardinals and the Reds, who have the same record in third and fourth place, respectively, in the NL Central. But the good news for the Brewers, got a really big opportunity starting tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they are at Wrigley Field. They take on the Cubs 3 times over the course of the next 3 days after an off day today for Milwaukee. And I hate to do this in mid-June, Joshy.
Gosh, here we go.
Biggest series of the year. But thus far, I mean, it certainly is. It's hard to disagree with that. But
well, isn't every successive series as we get closer to playoff seeding going to be,
especially the ones in the division? Yes.
Yeah. As long as the Brewers are in second place in the division, every series is going to be progressively the most important series.
Yes, but I think it's fair to say right now that tomorrow's game 1 of 3 against the Cubs marks the start of the most important series of the season. Fair take?
I think if I give it the most, what's the word I'm looking for here? The most generous viewing? Yes, I agree.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell you what.
It's not a wrong take, but it's just a wild take coming in June.
It's not wrong, but it's also not right.
Oh, it'll be wrong in a few weeks, but it's right now, and that's what matters.
That's what we do here.
Let's go, baby. Get ready for the biggest series of the year. Start tomorrow.
That's what we
Wrigley
do
Field.
here. We give takes that last days.
Yeah, that's our job around here. But I think, the importance doesn't need to be explained for obvious reasons, right? I mean, you're 5.5 games back. You sweep the Cubs, all of a sudden you're in business, baby. So you've got to win 2 of the 3 at the very least. You've got to go and win the series. And I think they're going to be able to. You get Jacob Misiorowski's second start on Wednesday is when he is expected to appear against the Chicago Cubs. The bats have been hot. Obviously, a really nice weekend win over the Cardinals, but no shortage of drama for the Milwaukee Brewers either. We mentioned the Aaron Savale trade, which happened Friday morning ahead of our show at Door County Distillery. Thursday, he's moved to the bullpen for Jacob Misiorowski, who was brought up to start on Thursday. Savale says, I want to be a starter. Trade me. The Brewers oblige. They send him to the worst team in the American League, the Chicago White Sox. Another little bit of drama that kind of flew under the radar because of that situation is Freddie Peralta has outright asked for a contract extension. And Freddie is on the fast track to be the Brewers All-Star. Would be his second All-Star game appearance. He was the Brewers All-Star back in 2021. And look, he deserves it. It's just, do the Brewers fork it out? Or is he a guy that they could likely offload if they are sellers at the deadline? And to be, I mean, look, 3 games does not change the trajectory of an entire season. But this series could be big in terms of deciding the mindset of the future of Freddie Peralta. Well, he could be a trade deadline selling point, or if they go and sweep the Cubs, and all of a sudden they're right back in the mix in the NL Central, and that would put them in the wild card, or I believe in the final wild card spot if they do sweep the Cubs, or they'll be right there in it, depending on what the other teams do this week. I think you hold off on thinking Freddie Peralta could be a potential trade deadline offload. So I just think this is a really important week for a variety of reasons. And that Freddie Peralta news kind of flew under the radar because of the Savale drama.
So, 2 things I want to comment here. You didn't mention via the weekend matchup the dust up with William Contreras' brother.
True. Yeah, Wilson. Yeah.
Which was
awful name, by the way. Wilson is a terrible name.
Well, and it's 2 L's.
Wilson.
I think it's
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So that was strange. That was clearly a dirty play. He then went out and was quoted. Now, when I saw this quote, and I can't repeat it, we can't repeat it, nor can we show what it was. When I saw that, I thought I got Centelled, where you get fooled. Yeah. I thought it was the Talkin' Baseball account that does sort of the same thing, but for baseball. Because I thought there's no way an MLB player would publicly say that about another MLB player. Right? And it blew me away. And then, it continued from there. He got plunked, whatever. That was clearly Bush League dirty stuff. He was trying to hurt someone.
That is correct.
Yeah, there's no other way to read that. That wasn't an accident. Every time when you field the ball at first base, you typically step out from it because you're trying to avoid contact. It's common to get cleated in that situation. And he knew, it just so happened, picked the smallest guy on the roster that he knew if he got in front of probably wouldn't do much damage, hurt him, or knock him off of his feet. Just so happened. Just a coincidence, I'm sure.
Just a coincidence. Comment too.
My reaction to the Freddie Peralta thing was no duh. Not because I think Freddie Peralta, him expressing his desire to seek a extension was sort of surprising in the fact that, he's going to get a lot more money than he can get from the Brewers in free agency. But the no duh is they're not going to be able to pay a guy $100 million. And I can dislike that. In fact, I hate that.
Yeah.
Because they choose not to. That's the big difference here.
Correct.
And I think Jeff Passan does an incredible job of reminding that, especially when the Paul Skeens conversation comes up. All these teams they elect not to. And Freddie, based on his age and the likelihood of pitchers getting injured, the Brewers just can't sustain a guy paid $18 to $25 million not being able to play for 12 to 16 months. They could, they don't want to, and that would hamstring them a lot. And committing that much to one player, the Brewers think, well, why pay for one when we could play for four and hope two of the guys can combine to be as good as him? So that's sort of the calculations that they do in their head. He's been on a team-friendly deal, and I think he's had every right. Now, it's a little bit different from baseball because that money's guaranteed. They don't typically sit out or make a big stink about it. But he's been underpaid for a while now. He took an extremely team-friendly deal. And I think it's fair to him to go, I would like to be here, but I would also like some back pay.
Yep.
And, contracts are never actually back paid, but showing me a level of respect of, yes, you've earned this $19 million, and we're happy to pay it to you over the course of the next 5 years. And the Brewers just aren't a team that are going to do that. And as with all of the young talent, when it succeeds and excels, it's most likely going to end up elsewhere. Mm-hmm. They've given out 2 9-figure contracts ever, and it's very easy to figure out who they are. Ryan Braun and Christian Yelich, 2 absolute cornerstones, guys that won MVPs.
Can't wait for Sal Frelick to be the third.
Not going to happen.
I'm aware. I'm just joking. Although, I'll just throw this out there.
What, that he's hitting 289 since hitting leadoff?
Might be an all-star.
Flip 2 of those numbers, sir. 298.
Yeah, 298.
Put some respect on his name.
I have dyscalculia, and that's literal.
What's dyscalculia?
You have trouble keeping numbers in line and remembering
But not
them.
letters?
It's more numbers are my big issue.
Okay. Bugaboo?
Frequently on math tests and math homework, I would just reverse numbers and get it wrong, even though all my work was right.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's kind of sick,
But
actually.
And
when
now
they
I feel
graded
bad for
on, did you
being
do
a
it?
jerk.
No, it's fine. I've made it this far. It's not.
Yeah, he's doing just fine.
Yeah.
Real quick, Alex on YouTube says, Brewers have to win the NL Central. I don't think they could be a wild card team. I disagree with that at this point.
Yeah.
Seeing the Padres come back down to earth a little bit, Brewers a game and a half
Braves
back
aren't
of the
as
Padres.
good as you'd expect.
Yep.
There's plenty of space for the Brewers. We didn't think that beginning of the season because we thought of how good those teams could
Well, the
potentially
Brewers
be.
went on that really nice hot streak.
Yeah.
And, I mean, technically, they're still on it to a point.
Well, yeah, but just looking at it and the way it is, it was hard to figure out in the NL what teams would have to drop for the Brewers to be in contention for the wild card. That is very much in play for them this season.
I totally agree. I don't think that as much as I once did. Now, would I prefer them to win the NL Central?
Yeah,
of course. But I think they can make it as a wild card. I think that's open up now. Now, obviously, June and leading up to the All-Star break will be a big part of it, but we will see. All right, time now for What We Learned, What We Missed. It is presented by Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally in Carlsville, in Door County. Of course, we were there on Friday, picked up a bottle of the maple-aged bourbon. Oh my goodness, it's like some of the best bourbon I've ever had.
I enjoyed with both of the fathers some of the single malt whiskey.
Let's
I picked
go.
Up. We had that after our round of golf. Had some ribs for dinner.
Oh, a little ribs
and then
action.
Washed it all down with some little whiskey.
The 27-time gold medal award-winning single malt whiskey from Door County Distillery. You can get it all over the state, whether you're in Milwaukee, Madison, Stevens Point, Green Bay. You can bring Door County to you. Check out their website, doorcountydistillery.com. Find the retailer nearest you, including some of those products that we just mentioned. But gins, vodkas, brandies, rum, more, and all of the above from Door County Distillery, doorcountydistillery.com.
Got my dad some
I'm gonna
whiskey
kick us off here.
for Father's Day as well. He absolutely loved it, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wife wasn't too thrilled with how much I dropped up there, but she enjoyed it more once we started opening up the bottles and actually trying stuff. She was like, "Oh, this is really good. Oh, this is really good." Got some ciders. She loved it. Some mead. Loved it. Got the cherry vodka. Loved it. So I'm out of the doghouse real quick.
What we learned. Spend your money wisely if you're going to spend it. Yeah, that's fair.
I've got one here I want to talk about, and we really don't talk a lot of golf on this show.
Oh boy!
But it
hitting
was
the blind spot for me. Here we go.
Yeah, and I feel it's my duty as the person who pays attention to golf. I don't know if Hunter does
A little bit.
but yeah, pays pays attention more than usually the average sports fan. There was a really cool U.S. Open this weekend. It was at Oakmont, super challenging course. It had to be delayed and taken off the course. Then they finished it with a heavy rain in the area.
What's with the bunker there that has like 18 different
They call it
spots?
the pews.
That thing is sweet.
Yes.
Well, awful, but sweet.
And I believe that is for the amount of majors that Jack Nicklaus has won.
Oh, wow.
In his career. I believe they added them to account for that, and that's like a little nod to who some believe the greatest golfer ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a super challenging course. The winner, JJ Spawn, finished at 2 under, and he made a absolutely remarkable shot on 18th to win his U.S. Open. If you go to his Wikipedia and look at his history of majors, it's tough scenes for JJ. JJ is the ultimate, I'm good enough to be here,
But not that good.
but not good enough to win. I believe he has many cuts where he doesn't even make it to the Saturday, Sunday of the tournament. And like some of his other better finishes are like 34th and 57th, and numbers
Jeez.
that are just improbable. So it was cool to see him win. There was one thing. There's a golfer, Tyrrell Hatton. He is known as being the curmudgeon, always angry, slamming his clubs, swearing at his clubs, swearing at the course.
Hell yeah, I like this guy.
He was doing press as JJ Spawn walked up to putt out that 18th. Now, in this spot, he's about 60 feet away. He needs 2 putts to win the U.S. Open. So he just needs to get it close, get it in nice and close, and then you can bring it home. You bring home a U.S. Open. But then, Hunter, this happened.
I sat in dining. Oh, he's hold it.
Jesus Christ.
Unbelievable. What a putt to win. That's incredible.
What do you think he's feeling right now?
In shock, I would guess. Unbelievable. Fair play.
You can end it there. So he was just sort of off to the side, and that happened. And he's known for being rather curmudgeonly, not so nice.
He seemed very nice
and
there.
he was very excited. Also, you get the accent as
The
well.
great
that
accent.
plays.
What is that?
I believe he's Irish.
Okay, that's what it sounds like. Yeah. What's
so-
going on with Rory? Is he a jerk now?
I think Rory's always been a little bit of a jerk. He's been a golf prodigy since he was very young. Now he just has the career Grand Slam, one thing that few people have. You saw the quote, I imagine, where he said he didn't do media because he doesn't have to.
He's earned the right to
Yeah.
do whatever he wants, I believe is what he said, yes.
Right, which is probably a little bit correct.
Oh, yeah, I bet there's some validity to that.
I would point to Rory really liking microphones when things are going well and not so much when they're not, which you would prefer a guy after a poor round or a poor showing to go out there and say, yeah, I didn't have it. Here's what happened.
Yeah.
You are one of the preeminent voices of golf. So being able to be written about, talked about, and your media availabilities, that is only going to make you more popular, you would imagine. And I don't think he's helping himself, but it was a fun U.S. Open.
JJ Pugh?
JJ Spawn.
JJ Spawn.
Pews were the church pews are the bunker you pointed out. That
Sure.
Yes.
Shows you how much I know.
Yes. JJ Spawn.
Congratulations,
You probably
JJ.
won't see him. He has 2 ever wins on the PGA Tour. One was, I think, like a year or 2
he's just
ago.
getting started then.
No, he's 33.
He's just getting started.
You probably won't see his name on many leaderboards thus forward. But it's a fun story. A guy, you got to see him like after with his kids. His daughter was on the 18th green and said, "Daddy, we got to go. It's time for bed." And he said, "We're staying up late tonight." And she just threw a party.
Yeah.
She went crazy.
I love that.
Those are the type of stuff that's cool because he's just been a guy grinding away, obviously making a good living for himself still.
Yeah.
He's still a professional golfer, but there's many guys that just kind of toil away in the 40s, 50s, 60s world golf
And that's
rankings.
seemingly kind of where he's been hanging.
Yes.
But a big win for JJ Spawn.
Yes.
Got that one right. All right, that does it for us today. We're way late.
Wow,
Good job,
so
Josh.
you're
Thanks
just,
for the
we're not even going to acknowledge the fact that
bogarted.
I'm the most famous member of the show. Okay, cool. We go up to Door County Distillery. I'm the first
No.
one that gets recognized. People didn't even know who you were. I'm just saying I'm the most famous person on this
No,
show.
I don't
We
want-
talked about this on Friday.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, we did. I read the text on the air.
Well,
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
yeah, the
but
only thing that
we
didn't
needed
get
to let the
mentioned was
Army
that
know
I
who
was
maybe
also
missed it.
recognized.
yeah, but I was
We're gonna talk
recognized
about that.
first.
Yeah. Yes.
But we don't need to talk about that.
Should it now? Here's a debate, and maybe we can save it. Do I get credit for the person who recognized Hunter knowing my name and recognizing him as the Gerald Ford trivia guy?
I'm not participating in this
Hunter
Richard
Vaughn.
measuring contest. Put the freaking tape measures away, you bozos. All right, we're back with you Wednesday beginning at 12:30. I have an announcement to make on Wednesday.
What?
I have an announcement to make on Wednesday. So you're not going to want to miss that. I'll tell you what that is on Wednesday and a whole lot more beginning at 12:30 Central, ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee, and YouTube. And, of course, Apple Podcast, Spotify,
we're late.
ESPN Wisconsin app. Yeah, I know. We're very late.
Who did that?
I don't know. All right, we'll talk to you Wednesday. Peace.